Tonight we're going to take a closer look at a form of alternative medicine, which means we're going to check in on a debate about something called therapeutic touch. We'll show it to you in a moment. It was first practiced in India several centuries ago. The theory of therapeutic touch, somewhat simplified, is that all of us have an energy field within us. And when we get sick, it's because our energy field is out of equilibrium, out of whack, so to speak. Those who practice therapeutic touch, and most who do are medical professionals, say that by regulating one person's energy field using the energy of another person, it is possible to relieve pain and cure such illnesses as migraine, headaches, ulcers, and even some forms of cancer. In an ABC News poll, we found that as many as 13 million Americans had tried it, and 91% of those who did say that it made a difference. However, in today's Journal of the American Medical Association, there is a critical report about its effectiveness from a rather unusual analyst. Here's ABC's Deborah Amos.
Meet Emily Rosa, a sixth-grade scientist. Remarkably, it's her study that's being published by the Journal of the American Medical Association.
The main thing is you have to think of a good test. And that wasn't very hard for me.
A test that's the basis of the highly critical article on therapeutic touch therapy.
It's the idea that matters, it's the science that matters, and it's the way it's written up that matters, not the age of the people who do the work.
I'm conducting an experiment to measure how well you and others can feel the human energy field.
Emily's experiment was a project for her fourth-grade science fair 2 years ago. It was repeated and filmed last year. She tested a basic claim of therapeutic touch therapy. The therapist can actually feel a human energy field above the body. 25 professional practitioners agreed to be tested.
Okay.
Each therapist had to identify which hand was closest to Emily's hand by feeling the human energy field.
This hand.
She flipped a coin to determine left or right. Each therapist was tested 10 times.
Okay, you got one right.
The results, the therapist got it right only 44% of the time, no better than random chance. In scientific terms, Emily had shown that the therapist could not identify a human energy field.
They were what you would expect for if you were just guessing.
No better than that?
No.
1, 3.
Emily's parents, one a nurse, the other a mathematician, wrote up her experiment and submitted it to JAMA last year.
Our toughest statistical reviewer said this is pure gold. A beautiful, clean design, carried out in a beautiful way with absolutely stunning statistics.
Statistics that even a child could understand? That's part of JAMA's message to patients.
If they want somebody waving their hands around them because it makes them feel good in some kind of way, that's just fine. But I think it's basically humbug.
Don't pay for this, warns JAMA, unless science actually proves it can do you any good. Deborah Amos, ABC News, Denver.
Second, however, of the night. In spite of what JAMA says, or for that matter, an 11-year-old girl, more than 100,000 people around the world have been trained in therapeutic touch, and it is practiced in 80 hospitals in North America. ABC's Antonia Mora reports tonight why people take it very seriously.
This is Mehmet Oz, a renowned cardiac surgeon at the world-famous Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. Just the kind of doctor and hospital you'd expect to dismiss therapeutic touch as New Age quackery, right? Not exactly.
In my heart of hearts, I think there's something out there. It is too big an area of potential assistance to mankind for us to throw out.
Dr. Oz believes Western medicine has done a disservice to patients by ignoring the potential for healing of Eastern practices like therapeutic touch.
Deep down, we all have a scientific bias. If we observe a phenomenon and can explain it in hardcore Western terms, it makes a lot more sense to us.
So far, evidence of the benefits of therapeutic touch is mostly anecdotal and at best sketchy. This high-tech medical center has made it a mission to prove or disprove that it works. Already, they've used computer imaging to show that some trained healers seem to emit more focused energy from their fingertips when they concentrate. And in laboratory tests similar to this, a practitioner has apparently had some success inhibiting the growth of cancer cells.
My hands are sort of like Geiger counters. Or
Heart patient Sal Davi is intrigued.
Anything that can help me relax is worthwhile.
The question is, how worthwhile? Oz remains skeptical, but
We have an obligation as scientists to investigate every lead that we have available to help people heal better. And there is a little bit of evidence out there. It's subtle, but a little bit of evidence that there is something more to energy medicine than meets the eye.
what's essential is to have an open mind, he says. After all, not so long ago, conventional thinking ruled out heart transplants. Antonio Mora, ABC News, New York.
In just a moment, one of the greatest creatures on Earth is killing the elephant the best way to save them. In San Diego today, the first gray whale and the largest animal ever to be rescued and then released was transferred back to the ocean. JJ the whale was found on a California beach 15 months ago. She was dehydrated and dying. The people at SeaWorld nourished the orphan back to life, and today, at nearly 10 tons, she went back to the sea. Finally, from us this evening, killing the elephants in order to save them. It sounds controversial, and it is. The African elephant is still an endangered species, but as President Clinton took note when he was in Botswana the other day, in some countries the elephant herds are recovering nicely, in large part because of programs that actually encourage hunting. It began in Zimbabwe. Here's ABC's Jim Wooten.
In this hot, hard place called Mbali, a story song for everything. For work and water, for cattle and kids, and neighbors too. Elegant, frisky, comical and curious. And some, like this one, not so nice to have next door.
There's no more trees left, there's no more forest left. That's because of elephants, concentration of elephants on this particular place here.
Buck DeVries, hunter, conservationist, and defender of campfire, a project that offends environmentalists because it converts Zimbabwe's wildlife, including elephants, into revenue for local residents. It works like this. Hunters like American Donald Kress pay $12,000 for safari licenses, then head into the bush to stalk ancient bulls that are no longer breeding.
That was a good shot.
And, of course, to kill them. Last year, 100 old elephants were shot. The meat goes to the people, and the money, $7 million earned so far, to projects like this community hall. There's a wildlife price list on the wall, or this pipeline to bring water from a distant well, or this clinic. Before it was built, the nearest medical facility was 60 miles away. The U.S. Agency for International Development subsidizes campfire with about $2.8 million a year. In America, the Humane Society and other groups who oppose all hunting on philosophical grounds are naturally aghast that U.S. tax dollars, however few, should be used in any way, however small, in killing an endangered species. But since campfire began, the elephant population here has increased from 45,000 to 60,000. That's because the hunters kill only the oldest elephants, and overall poaching is down. The people are protecting them because the elephants mean cash, and in this place much more amenable to animals than humans, there is now some hope for both. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Zimbabwe.
That is our report on World News Tonight. Later on Nightline is the war against drugs at odds with civil liberties. I'm Peter Jennings. Hope you have a good evening and that you'll come join us tomorrow. Good night.
ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.